August 12th, 2023. Well, I want to get into something I saw here is an interview with Tucker Carlson with Steven Saud, who was the chief of the Capitol Police on January the 6th. I think this is a further interesting development, and it has some particular relevance because an interview of this sort, which actually is property of Fox News, was going to be aired on the Tucker Carlson show on the Monday he was actually taken off the air by Fox. And whether or not that is the whole reason he was taken off the air, or this was kind of a final straw, perhaps, in their point of view. But this is a very interesting set of information, and I'll get into that shortly. First of all, I'll make a little comment about the ongoing January 6th related DC trial. I mean, it's now been revealed that the judge in the case has made prejudicial statements against President Trump in some of the sentencing statements that she made for some of the January 6th people who were convicted of the various things that they were charging them with. And so to me, that to me seems to be the basis to make a move for her to recuse herself. I mean, somebody's actually made prejudicial statements against the defendant seems to me to be, shouldn't be the judge in the case. However, he kind of had a partial success in his ruling today that the gag order that the prosecutor wanted to put on him apparently was denied, but he's not getting to have all the what they call volunteer attorneys to help out reading all the documents. And of course, the thing is that the prosecutor has a massive staff of attorneys on their side, and so I guess he was wanting a little bit of a counterbalance, and some of the, I guess, conservative attorneys were willing to volunteer to help out, but apparently they're not going to get to read these documents. So, but this trial is going to be set up, and as I said before, they're shooting to have it very early January, perhaps as early as January the 2nd, which is kind of what I thought they would do, considering that the other one, the one that on the documents case, has been set for somewhere in late May down in Miami. So anyway, if you like these videos, please give me a like, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. So getting back to the main topic here, which is the Tucker Carlson interview with Steven Saud, the chief of the Capitol Police at the time of the riot. It's kind of clear cut that some things have come out, and I want to kind of address what those are here. First of all, that he had requested the National Guard, and it took 71 minutes before the Sergeant of Arms had agreed to allow that to happen, and apparently under law, it had to be approved by the Sergeant of Arms before it could be formally requested. So that's an interesting point to bear out to begin with. And the other thing that's kind of interesting here is that it appears that the FBI and several other sources other than him had the intelligence that some extremists were going to be attending the event and might cause some serious trouble, and yet apparently the chief of police there wasn't informed, and so that which also had an effect of delaying appropriate preparations. And it appears also, has been maintained previously, that there were apparently FBI or other government intelligence assets in the crowd. And of course, remember that the Ray, the director of the FBI, under oath, has refused to say that there weren't such assets in the crowd, which seemed to imply pretty clearly that there were, or possibly that they were there and he doesn't know for sure, or that he's afraid that people aren't telling him the truth, and he doesn't want to get caught in a perjury trap. But at any rate, that's another thing that kind of come out of this. So you have a situation where the whole event is beginning to have the appearance of a setup. That effectively, and even after the authorization came, there was still resistance from the Pentagon to actually release the National Guard. And when they finally did release them, the first wave, which was closest to the Capitol, weren't sent to the Capitol, but were sent around to basically to protect some area where a lot of generals had their houses. And so it was much later that other National Guard finally arrived on the scene, very very late in after pretty much all the damage had been done. And so it looks to me like that, remembering that this House Sergeant of Arms reports to Nancy Pelosi, that it looks to me, and there was all this talk about optics and all, which of course seems to be bogus when you consider after the event they brought in all kinds of National Guard and fences and turned the whole place into what looked like an armed camp. So it looks like their concern over optics pretty much faded, and faded after there was no longer a threat. Because once the actual event was over with, and Biden had been confirmed by the counting of the Electoral College, there was nothing more to do. I mean, they're acting like they were under imminent peril of something else happening, but it was already over with. So, I mean, it shows you how completely two-faced and dishonest these people are. And it looks to me like this was a whole setup, that when they saw that this situation was developing, they saw a perfect way to set Trump up to make him look like a bad guy by allowing this event to occur, allowing the damage to occur that did occur, the breaches and everything that occurred, and then essentially would blame Trump for it happening. Now we can get into what degree of blame Trump had. However, to date, I've not heard yet of any evidence that he had any knowledge at all there was going to be a riot. And in fact, since he wanted to go there personally, I don't think he'd want to be in the middle of a riot where he himself might be hurt. I mean, that doesn't seem likely. So I think that this was kind of a surprising development to him. And and in fact, I keep pointing out that nobody seems to mention that his entire challenge, such as it was, which at best was a protest, was completely destroyed by the riot. If the riot meant that all these speeches everybody was going to make about the votes and how it was done were all eliminated, and the thing was just went through real quick then. So there was no way in which this riot could in any way have helped Trump out. It only hurt him in every way, and I think that that's why Pelosi deliberately let it occur. And I think she had help by people in the Pentagon, probably working for Milley, remember, who's obviously turned very anti-Trump. So I think that's the way I see this. But anyway, it's an important interview, and you can draw your own conclusions from it if you decide to watch it. I will put a link to it in the description below, because I think it's interesting because, since Tucker is no longer on Fox and he's basically doing this on Twitter, the version I've got was also posted on the Daily Caller, which he has. Tucker Carlson has a historic association with. So I think that might be interesting to people if they have the time. It's extensive but it really goes into a lot of detail about this. But I think if people will find this to be an interesting interview, and I want to promote as many people seeing it as possible. So at any rate, I'll be wrapping this up now. As always, I'll post this on Rumble as my backup channel, and the addresses of my social media accounts are in the description below. And by the way, the last video I didn't have a lot of people didn't watch it, but I really think people ought to take a look at that one too, because I have some interesting information in it, particularly toward the end. I thought about some of the weapons and tactics being used in the Ukraine war and so forth, if people are interested in that. Anyhow, so that'll be it for this time, and until next time.